America's expensive dream. Low salaries, high rent. Imagine working 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours a week in one of the richest countries on earth and still feeling like you're one paycheck away from disaster. Imagine earning in dollars but living in fear of rent day every single month. This is not a story about laziness, bad decisions, or people failing to work hard enough. This is the reality of modern America, where salaries are crawling while rent is running at full speed. And if you think this problem only affects low-income workers, stay with me, because the middle class is being crushed quietly, slowly, and systematically. Once upon a time, America sold a dream to the world. Work hard, get educated, build a career, and you'll afford a comfortable life. A home, a car, savings, vacations, and security. That dream worked for decades, but today that same dream has become painfully expensive. For millions of Americans, the dream is no longer about buying a house, it's about surviving the rent. Let's talk numbers, because reality lives in numbers. In many major U.S. cities, average rent for a one-bedroom apartment now ranges from $1,500 to $2,500 a month. In places like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Boston, and Seattle, it's often even higher. Now compare that to salaries. The average American worker earns around $55,000 to $60,000 a year before taxes. After taxes, healthcare deductions, insurance, and basic expenses, rent alone eats up 40 to 60% of take-home pay. Financial experts have always said rent should be no more than 30% of income. That rule is dead. This is where the real problem begins. When rent takes half your income, everything else becomes a struggle. Savings disappear. Emergency funds never get built. Credit card debt grows. Retirement planning becomes a joke. People aren't living, they're juggling bills and hoping nothing goes wrong. One medical emergency, one job loss, one unexpected expense, and the entire system collapses. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that salaries have not kept up with reality. While rent has doubled or even tripled in some cities over the last 20 years, wages have barely moved when adjusted for inflation. Yes, minimum wage has increased in some states, but rent didn't politely wait, it exploded. Corporate profits soared. Housing became an investment, not a basic need, and regular people were left behind. The middle class is feeling this pain the most. These are people with degrees, careers, and full-time jobs. Teachers, nurses, engineers, IT professionals, office workers. On paper, they should be comfortable. In reality, many are living paycheck to paycheck. Homeownership, once the backbone of middle-class stability, is slipping out of reach. High rent makes it impossible to save for a down payment. High interest rates make mortgages unaffordable, so people keep renting and rents keep rising. This creates a dangerous cycle. The more people are forced to rent, the more power landlords gain. The more power landlords gain, the higher rents go. And salaries? They lag behind every single year. Companies argue about budgets and profits when employees ask for raises, while rent increases arrive automatically year after year with no negotiation. Let's be very clear about something. This is not about people wanting luxury apartments. This is about basic housing, safe neighborhoods, reasonable commutes, decent living conditions. Even modest apartments are becoming unaffordable. People are downsizing, moving farther away from their jobs, sharing apartments well into their 30s and 40s, or moving back with parents. This is not what adulthood was supposed to look like in the richest nation on earth. Now, let's talk about something few people openly admit. The psychological toll. Constant financial stress changes how people live and think. Relationships suffer. Family planning gets delayed or canceled. People postpone having children because they can't afford rent, childcare, and healthcare together. Mental health issues rise. Anxiety, burnout, depression. When survival becomes the main focus, ambition slowly dies. And yet, every time this topic comes up, there's always someone who says, "Just move to a cheaper city." Sounds simple, right? But cheaper cities often come with lower salaries, fewer job opportunities, and limited growth. Plus, not everyone can just pack up and leave. Jobs, families, visas, healthcare, and education tie people down. The system shouldn't require you to abandon opportunity just to afford a roof over your head. Another popular argument is, buy a house instead of renting. But how do you save for a down payment when rent takes half your income? How do you qualify for a mortgage when student loans, car payments, and credit card debt are already stretching your budget? The system locks people out and then blames them for being locked out. Let's also talk about student loans because they play a huge role here. Millions of Americans start adult life already tens of thousands of dollars in debt. That monthly loan payment directly competes with rent. In previous generations, college led to higher wages that made debt manageable. Today, many graduates earn salaries that barely cover rent and loan payments combined. Education, once a ladder to stability, has become another weight on the shoulders of young workers. This crisis isn't accidental. Housing supply hasn't kept up with population growth. Zoning laws restrict construction. Investors buy single-family homes and turn them into rental properties. Short-term rentals reduce long-term housing availability. And government policies move slowly while rent moves fast. The result is a perfect storm where demand is high, supply is limited, and prices rise endlessly. What makes this even more painful is the contrast. America is wealthier than ever. Stock markets hit record highs. Luxury spending continues. Corporate executives earn millions. Yet the average worker is fighting to afford basic shelter. That gap between wealth and reality is where frustration turns into anger, and anger turns into hopelessness. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. This is not just an economic issue, it's a social one. When people can't afford stable housing, communities weaken. When people can't plan for the future, society becomes fragile. When the middle class collapses, the entire system becomes unstable. History has shown this again and again. So what does the future look like? If salaries continue to rise slowly while rent continues to surge, more Americans will be forced into shared housing, long commutes, and financial insecurity. Homeownership will become a privilege, not a goal. The American dream will shift from prosperity to mere survival. But awareness is the first step toward change. Talking about this matters. Understanding that this is a structural problem, not a personal failure, matters. Workers demanding fair wages, cities investing in affordable housing, governments regulating extreme rent increases, and corporations being held accountable for wage stagnation all matter. If you're watching this and struggling, know this: you are not bad with money. You are not lazy. You are not failing. You are living in a system where rent has outpaced reality, and salaries are fighting a losing battle, and millions of people are standing right beside you feeling the same pressure, asking the same questions, and wondering how long this can last. America's dream didn't disappear overnight. It became expensive slowly, quietly, year after year, and unless something changes, the gap between rent and salary will continue to grow. The real question is not whether people are working hard enough. The real question is whether the system is working for the people at all. If this video made you think, if it reflected your life even a little, you're not alone. Share this conversation. Talk about it, because silence is the only thing that allows this crisis to keep growing, and the American dream should never cost this much just to survive.